So the game's a first-person shooter. I rather call it retro shooter, but most people identify the genre as boomer shooter. Boomers are the age of my parents, so I prefer it to call it retro shooter. And the genre basically stems from games like Doom, Blood, all those classics from the 90s, and even the beginning of the 2000s, at least in my definition, which is probably not everyone's, but that's how I see it. That's also why I made the game.
Take that! Double kill! Triple kill! Yeah! Multi-kill! Killing spree! Grand on! Killing!
So the story of the game is, it was actually a little bit improvised. I was making a game. I didn't know, I was learning coding, so I was trying stuff, and I didn't, at the beginning I was going to make something that was more level, go, 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 go. No story, maybe like end of the episode you have like one text or something like that, like in the Doom style. But one day I was like, what happens if I make a text box? I want to make, what if I make an RPG? How would I code that? And I went into a tutorial how to make a text box, and I made the first text box. And from there I started to think, well, now we have a story, now we have a character. And that's how the hobo guy came to be. And the first dialogue in the game is that he goes up to a dying soldier, which is one of the Allied soldiers that was fighting the Nazis. And you can see the personality of the character. He doesn't really care so much about the dying guy. He sees the guy's boots. He's like, okay, my feet are cold. I want the boots. He asks the guy for the boots. He takes the boots and he goes away. The guy dies on his, in his feet.
Show some respect for the recently deceased.
That's how his journey starts. And his dog has been stolen. He needs to go kill all the Nazis. It's not even because they're Nazis. He just wants to get his dog back. And he doesn't know where he is, what they're doing with him, why they took him from him. He probably just thinks it was an occurrence. But no, the dog is an important piece of the story. He's a specific kind of dog. The Nazis have seen something on him. And then the whole story continues in very crazy ways. We have a character that's a hippie that smokes joints all the time, and he travels in time. Her name is Martina, like Martin McFly, and she travels in time. He comes in and he gives you a crossbow from the future, which is the Half-Life crossbow. You get a crossbow with a scope. Later on, she helps you destroy barriers in boss fights and stuff like that. So it's a character that's very crazy. It's very silly and opens the story to be pretty much anything, because we have someone who travels through time, so we can go anywhere.
You are on the outside.
So when I started the game, I was not a programmer. I did a little bit of coding. I knew how to make a website, but it's a far shot from actually making a game. So I was looking around. I was trying engines. I tried Unreal Engine a little bit, and then I tried on Unity, and I found a tutorial for Unity that was a 9-hour-long tutorial about how to make a Wolf 3D game. And I went into that. It took me like 3 days to complete. And when I finished, I just liked what I had, and I just continued to work. And then later on, I posted it online, and people praised it. So I just kept working. That was 4 years ago, and the game is ready to be shipped. So it's not been an easy path all these 4 years, especially when you're doing it pretty much on your own. As I feel like one of the most relevant things, more than even what you're learning or what you're doing, is endurance, because you're going to find that sometimes no one responds. Sometimes you don't know if you're doing something that's good or it's bad. You have to trust yourself, and you have to pick up from all the skills you have and try to put them all in there, and just trust that the process is going to end up in a place where it's going to be good and people are going to have fun. And yeah, I think it's pretty hard to stay on it. And I've had the luck to have the guy that voices the hobo guy, his name is Jake Parr, and he's not only voiced the character, he's helped me build the character a little bit. He's written a little bit for it, and he always has ideas for the trailers. He helps me a lot, and he's been an emotional support too, because like I said, when you're on your own, it's really hard to stay on track, and he's always been there for me. So the game's graphics are something that it has many factors that go into it. One of them is I like the style, I like the pixelated stuff. I feel like it's been, along the years, many indie games have paved the path to very stylized, pixelated graphics. I feel like I got a taste for that. I like it. And also there's the fact that I'm making the game pretty much on my own. I have a couple helpers, but if you want to do everything, then you can really make a very realistic game, because you want to make the assets and you're going to make the maps and all of that. It has to have some kind of, it has to be stick together. And yeah, that's mainly the reason. So the influences of the game are many, and they come from a long time ago. That's why the game is what it is. I started playing PC games with Half-Life, and I never wanted to go back. And after Half-Life, I discovered Wolfenstein, and I never wanted to go out of Wolfenstein. And after Wolfenstein, they made Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, and I got stuck in that. I was playing clan battles, I was playing competitions, and I had a British clan. I made friends, and I also made maps for the game. So I was looking into how things work behind the curtain, how to make quick 3 maps and stuff like that. So this is what's taken me 20 years to gather myself and be like, okay, I can do something that's bigger than that. I still make maps now and then, but I wanted to make something complete and make it from scratch. And I wanted to gather the same idea of those games where it's that were very open and puzzle based, and they trusted the player when it comes to searching and finding stuff, and they did not hold your hand. Yeah, the reason the game is free is mostly because I want everyone to play it, and I also is something that I started for learning, and from the start I said it was going to be free, and when I put it into the public, I just said it was going to be free. So I'm keeping my word on it, and I think we have a decent project that's going to be becoming something bigger than what it is, and that we can work more on it. I think it's a good strategy because we're going to get a lot more players at the beginning, and then when we try to expand the story, we're going to make some expansions and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good journey. I think also with Microprose we have determined that it's going to be a long-lived game, whereas I had something like 1 DLC planned, and now it's going to be something a little bit more thick in that sense. And I think I'm really happy for that, and I'm looking forward to what we can do with the story and what places we can go, which is pretty much anyway. Talk about DLC, I'm thinking something about the old school expansions. It's something you would get with Half-Life, like Blue Shift or Opposing Force. Something that makes the story bigger, grander. Maybe it's not really planned, so we don't know where it's gonna go, and I also wouldn't say. But we're gonna maybe find another character. Maybe we're gonna meet new people. Maybe we're gonna go to new lands. We can pretty much do anything because we have a story set up that is funny and silly enough that we can actually go very many places with it.